to Comedy or Worse. I'm here with a very special guest,
Ian Ira Rousso.
Yeah, I thought when I point to the guests, they know what to do. Occasionally they're like, what do you want?
What?
Anyway, so welcome to the podcast. Thanks for doing it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you're based out of LA.
Yeah, based out of LA, originally from New York.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
So did you start comedy in New York?
Yes, I did. I was, 2014. Wow. Once upon a time ago, I was hitting all of like the alt mics in Brooklyn and shit, and it was awful. And I wanted to, eventually I was writing like pilots for a while, and I wanted to write for TV, so I moved to LA, and now the film economy's in the toilet.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, so glad that you moved to LA. So
Yeah.
I was able to run into you.
Yeah.
And then have you on the podcast. You're going to be on the Quantum Brewing Show this Friday. It's going to be August 2nd.
Yes.
So hopefully people have already came and saw that, because this is a little bit ahead. I did get behind, and I was like almost like, because I release it every week, and I almost like ran out of episodes. So now I'm banking them again.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah. My podcast. Normally I have like a bunch of episodes in the can, but I didn't have anything in the can by the time I left for San Diego. So this Monday, they could use a break for me. I've been putting up too many reels and YouTube shorts.
Cool. So what's the name of your podcast?
The Ian Ira Rousso Show.
Well, that's a great name.
Yeah, it's simple.
No one else can take it over.
It was like a simple format. It worked for Tim Dillon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sweet. And what's the format of the podcast?
Essentially, to be honest, it's still fairly new in the scheme of things.
Okay.
The most recent episode was episode 58.
Okay.
And it's just general, like, free-flowing talking about comedians' paths. I've been talking to a lot of comics who've put out specials recently.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, like my friend Chris Wakis, he just put out his first special on comedy dynamics, not rocket science, and it was kind of cool getting like his story of not only like the recording process, but how he went about releasing it, some of the steps and missteps that he took along the way, and it worked out to him. Well, it worked out for him.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, what's the release schedule about? Like once a week, or?
Yeah, once a week. Mondays, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why I picked Friday at 9 a.m. I might change that.
I find that the beginning of the work week, it's a good thing. Oh, hey, a new podcast episode, something to listen to in the car. Then again, to take everything I say with a grain of salt, because the clips are doing well, but the like as far as like the audio episodes, like it's sometimes I'm just like, why am I doing this?
Right. Yeah. Like I'm definitely. I mean, the goal of my podcast is like to try to get more people to go see live comedy.
Yeah.
And
should be the end game.
And be able to interview as many comics as I can. I'm doing it for almost. Or I guess I've been doing it for a year, but this will be episode 49.
One of the cool things about talking to comics that are sort of your contemporaries, you never know who's going to gain traction, and there could be a point where years from now, your podcast is looked back at. Oh, where were they?
Yes, exactly.
5 to 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is like. I don't know how it is in LA. Probably worse in LA, but there's like a lot of comics in San Diego. It's a great comedy scene, but like
one of the best.
Like I don't get to really talk about comedy. Like where'd you start comedy?
Yeah.
You know, and all these things.
Is it? I would imagine this is a market. This is a market where a lot of people start comedy. I could be wrong. Like, I'm not.
I think so. I mean, I'm not sure. Like, it feels like LA, there would be a big attractor, you know, because they're attracted to the entertainment industry.
A lot of.
And then they might go, well, I'll try comedy.
Yeah.
You know, so.
A lot of people move from other markets, like whether it be Boston or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They'll move to LA to start comedy, which, good God, like when I started, I was atrociously bad at it, and I feel like I spend a lot of energy trying to correct first impressions with the growth I've made.
Sure.
Like one silly story. Like you've been to set of the Night of the Comedy Store.
No.
It's like every couple Sundays.
No, I wish I.
Okay.
It's hard to get Sundays off for me.
Yeah. Every so it's Bruce Gray and a bunch of like panels, like a bunch of like paid regulars watching, and the best set of that night gets a set at the end of potluck right before friends and family at the store.
Yeah, like last time I was there, I was like, oh, that's cool.
Last time I got up on set of the night, I had a really good set, and Bruce Gray was shocked by that, as he should have been, because, God, before he got passed, he's been passed now for what, 3 years? Like, I was still not there as a comic.
Sure.
Pre-pandemic. Like, it wasn't until like 2021 that I start to get the hang of it. I knew my voice a little bit better.
Yeah.
And even today, I still have so much work to do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a long journey.
Yeah.
I think my problem is, like, I want to try so many things.
Yeah.
And right now, I'm like, I messaged, a new comedy club, and they're like, oh, yeah, send this tape. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's always my downfall. And then I was, like, thinking down the process, well, that's why everybody's doing the things the way they're doing it.
Yeah.
Is that you got to have good tape. And the reason I don't have good tape is that I haven't practiced that. Well, I mean, there's been times where I had like a good 5 minutes, and that tape was great, but I'm trying to have it be longer now.
Yeah.
So, so it's like, gotta do it again. Like,
yeah.
Like get a good 10-minute set or 8-minute at least.
Do you find that bookers, like, it's a struggle to get bookers to even watch your tapes?
I'm not sure, because like I try to do things to make it see if they're watching, and then I just get so busy that I forget to look, and then I was like, oh shit, I made that public, and now I don't know if it was the booker that watched it.
Oh God.
You know what I mean? Like I gotta like be more focused. Yeah, that's a good thing. I gotta like have like, give them a special link, if they actually opened it.
Yeah. One of my favorite stories that I heard when I first started, there was a comic, I couldn't tell you her name, but she intentionally sent in a 20-minute tape, and about 5 minutes into the tape, it cuts to like a sex tape of her, and she was getting spots. Like bookers weren't watching it. But it's also, I think we're in a very different time where people are very bookers. They obviously have an asset they have an investment to protect, which is either their comedy club, their show, and a lot of people go by social media numbers.
Yeah, but they'll still ask for tape.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, well, which is it?
Yeah,
is it? I guess it's everything.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I've been in the past couple months, I've just been whoring myself out to like YouTube and TikTok to see what I could, what hits, what sticks, throw enough shit at the wall, see what sticks, and I feel stupid for it, but then again, that's the times we're living in.
Sure, yeah. Sometimes I try to like think of other things that aren't necessarily material.
Yeah.
Like other ways of doing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to get. It comes in waves. There's
Yeah.
times where I'm like doing good on social media, like posting stuff.
Yeah.
And then I looked at my Instagram and I'm like, oh my God, there's this quantum brewing over and over every week. What am I doing?
Yeah, and sometimes I feel like I post too many reels on Instagram and the algorithm might know that. Like the most recent clip, which is a good clip, it didn't hit well and it makes you feel self-conscious and
yeah. At the end of the day, I think you have to like just be in this for other reasons and
yeah, of course.
Money, the fame. Or
I think about it a lot. If you're in stand-up comedy to make money or to feel liked, you're eventually going to hit a very abrupt roadblock, and it's like I think what comes first is entertaining strangers and finding joy in that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like growing up, here, let me ask you this: do you wish you started comedy earlier?
I think everybody does. I started at 28, and then again, I don't know if I started when I was 18, how many mics would I be able to hit? Because there's only so many bars that would let me in. It would all be coffee shops.
Sure.
Most comedy clubs don't let anybody under 21 in. Would I even have the life experience to get good? Like, would I don't know, like 99 times out of 100, I'll see someone who's doing stand-up comedy as their thing to try out while they're in college, and I'll be like, why the fuck should any of us care what he has to say about anything?
Right.
Yeah, it's not.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I definitely wish I started earlier, but not like even 20, like even just, because I started when I was 47.
Okay.
So, this is year 6. But if I would have started too early, I wouldn't have been able to handle it.
Yeah.
Emotionally, because like, how comics roast each other.
It's vicious.
And hecklers, and I just would have been like, so I remember times where like people would say stuff and I would know they're joking, but I still would get emotional.
Yeah, that makes you,
what?
that just means you're human. And
yeah.
I think most comics are more human than they're willing to admit.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like I think about that sometimes. Like last night I did the mic at Trailer Park After Dark. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it's like, is this an environment I would have thrived in while I was of college age or late high school?
Yeah.
Like I could, like, the number of comics that started that young who ended up really developing a backbone and are doing cool things. It's I could probably count those on one hand.
Yeah, it's almost like a child actor or something.
Yeah.
No, go live life.
Yeah.
Then come back. Yeah, cool. So when you started comedy, did you get addicted right away?
Yes, but I was still, again, atrociously bad at it. It was like very experimental alt shit.
Okay.
Like, God, I don't even remember the bit that I had, but there was one where there was an act out where I was running around the room screaming like a fire truck.
Wow.
And
So you do characters on, or you used to do characters on stage?
I wouldn't say character. It was just very, very experimental, and like I didn't have any idea how to tell a joke. I didn't know. I haven't found my voice.
Sure. Yeah. It definitely takes a long time to find your voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I'm still.
It's still, that voice is constantly changing over the decades.
Yeah. Exactly. And also like. It's like, I don't know if it's like an interesting experiment or like a way to get sidetracked, but it's like I would like to try to like go up and do, like, write a joke in a different voice and do that. I have done it.
That's
and it went well.
Good way to expand your wheelhouse.
Yeah, it went well, but then I was like, I don't know where to go from there.
I think there is
what am
something.
I gonna do? Okay, now I'm going to do this other character.
Yeah. like there is something to be said about finding your voice, but there also don't use that as a comfortable place to be. Like, don't let that be your lane. Like keep figuring out what you're comfortable talking about, what you want to talk about, write about, and like the opinions you want to express, like your point of view.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it would be nice to make the world a better place, but also like, and just point out the absurdity of some. There's so many things like, and I'm not talking about Palestine or whatever. I'm talking more like, why does everybody get so mad in traffic? Like you're rushing to go somewhere that you're just gonna wait. Anyway. Like you're getting mad at people, but you cut people off all the time. Yeah. Like everybody's human. Everybody has their own.
Right before I got here, I saw something that amused me. Yeah. Somebody was, I don't know the side street here, but somebody was making a right onto 4th Avenue, which is a one-way street. Right. And he knew he screwed up immediately. And there's no traffic coming the way. He's backing up. Cars are coming in honking at him. He's like, what is he going to do? He screwed up. He knows that. Just... Yeah.
That's crazy. So, what is your writing process for comedy?
Generally, what works for me is I'll have a premise. I will take it on stage and try to get as out of my head as possible and gauge a reaction from there. And then start structuring the bit out, start writing it out. And typically from there, it gets better or it just like kind of plateaus and becomes some dumb monologue.
Okay. Cool.
That's my biggest problem I think I get in my head.
Sure. And what about like joke order? Do you ever obsess over the order of the jokes you do?
Last year I put out my debut comedy album titled Sorry Again.
No.
Yeah, it's on Apple Music and iTunes and all that.
Plug at the end.
I put out Sorry Again last year. And what worked for me on that was all of the stories were essentially in chronological order.
Oh, okay.
It starts, it's a fairly, the structure of the album, the first 8 minutes it's essentially my opening thoughts. Yeah. The next 30 it's like a bunch of bits in the order they happened. One story couldn't have happened without the other.
Oh, nice.
It was all very chronological. And then the last 10 minutes, it was my closing thoughts and everything I learned. And
that's great.
Yeah.
It was like a half hour long, you said?
The final product was 47 minutes.
Nice.
I don't remember if the final product was 47 minutes or if everything we recorded was 47 minutes.
Oh, okay.
It might have been down to 43, but yeah.
Yeah, that's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Good, comedy album length.
Yeah, it was yeah, I don't know. The next thing I want to do, I want to try to do a half hour because I think I'm decent at what I do. I have my moments. I have my highs and lows like everybody else. But I do find that I do find a certain arrogance in someone who's putting out their first release being like, hey, listen to me for an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, but I am proud of the product.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Sweet. So, what's the furthest you've traveled to do comedy?
Before the album recording, I did a run of shows. I ran Sorry Again in Tucson, then I drove to Santa Fe, and then I drove to Tulsa, Tulsa, Oklahoma was a lot of fun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Then from there, by that point, Comedy Mothership was open for 2 weeks, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a pit stop in Austin.
Oh, nice. How was Austin?
A lot of fun. Have you been out there yet?
No.
Oh God, it's the barbecue, the comedy, but mostly the barbecue.
Yeah.
Terry Black's Barbecue. They have a brisket that's like, dude, oh man. Terry Black's Barbecue is the best barbecue in the world based on coleslaw alone.
Oh, wow.
That's how good their coleslaw is.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet.
How about, have you gotten, I know you've gotten up to LA. Where else have you gotten to work?
I was visiting family in San Francisco, but I only went to a few open mics.
Okay.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
Different scene.
Yeah, I haven't been to San Francisco in like probably 6 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, my sister, she lived in San Francisco for, I think, like, for about 7 years, like before I started comedy.
Okay.
And I would fly out there and visit every week, or not every week, every month.
Okay.
And I got to witness the annual evolution of San Francisco being the cool city it was in the 90s, then getting taken over by the tech people.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, God, I remember when I went out the night before my sister's wedding, and me and my cousin, we ended up at like a bar or a nightclub or whatever it was, and there was just so much Coke energy there.
Wow. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So do you have any hobbies or passions that aren't related to comedy?
Yeah, I play guitar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I write a little bit of music, not much these days, but other hobbies. I'm a big food person. I'm always seeking out the best ramen, the best burger,
Nice.
the best burrito. Right before this, I got to go to Ray's in El Cajon or North Park. Have you been?
No, I don't think so.
It's on El Cajon in North Park.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. No, I'll have to try that out. Over at Quantum Brewing, there's a pretty good Annie's Burger. It's in the same shopping center.
I vaguely remember that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it's the best. But
Yeah,
it's the best in that area.
Okay,
I would
that's
say,
something. Yeah.
If you're already there, you can bring food in.
Yeah, but like I remember that area being a lot of like office complexes, then that strip mall, and right across the street is Mic Drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's just how I fell into it. It was like I was just going to open mic and was talking to the bartender that I had no idea was the owner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it happens. Yeah, so if you have anybody out there that's a comic that wants to get a venue, you just gotta like go places and talk to people.
You gotta talk to people. You gotta pitch like, hey, this is going to bring business, which is very difficult for mics because I host one in Valley Glen in the Valley, and it's not some nights financially are better than others, and thank God, like the bartender, the owner, like he loves what he loves what we do. He's been very supportive.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, sometimes I'm like, this poor guy is listening to the, because it's like an open mic / with some features.
Yeah.
And it's like, some people are just doing the same jokes over and over. I mean, I do too, because especially now that I'm like, wait a minute, that's really what you should do, because I got to get a good tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, I'm from the school of thought. I'm trying to get as out of my head as possible.
Yeah.
Like last night at American Comedy Company, which was the largest audience I've been up in front of in a long time. Like since the album recording, I threw away all that material, and I've just been finding my legs again.
Yeah.
And I just like I felt like for the first half of the set, I was just in awe that I was in front of this many people versus.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's a good way to get in your head.
Yeah, for sure. I guess that's the advantage of living in San Diego and getting up a lot.
Yeah.
There, that I just kind of, it's nothing.
Yeah, LA is it's largely paying someone $5 to do 5 minutes in front of 8 other comics. And a lot of the bucket mics, they are rigged. And that, like, as far as like bar shows, and I don't want to go on record and claim the clubs, but
sure, yeah, definitely. There's buckets that, I mean, there's a bucket that I don't think is rigged, and there's other buckets that are definitely rigged, but rigged in a way that is how comedy works, you know?
Yeah, I do understand. I am all for working someone in who knows how to be an asset to the room, to bring energy to the show. And I think that's a very important skill. Like, if you could get that unlocked, soon you could start doing non-bringer spots on bringer shows and continue working your way up from there. But like, it just sucks sometimes to like see people working their friends, and it's like, oh, this person's a hack.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there are ones where it's like there's barking spots, but like
and those are reasonable.
Yeah, but you know, the barking spots are screened, so it's not like this awful comment.
Yeah, okay,
in a barking spot. You know?
Okay, interesting, because I find in LA that the funnier you are, like, the less likely they'll want to do stuff like barking or join a street team or do flyering, whatever it is.
Yeah, there's definitely like people that don't want to do the barking spot, but there's this, you know, there's other people where it's like they see the results, you know, like going to ACC and having a packed room, you know, as opposed to going there and it's 3/4 full.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, so you might as well. What are you going to do? Just stand around and visit with other comics anyway, right?
Yeah.
So you might as well just try to get 5 people in and get a guaranteed spot.
Yeah, and that's if it were my choice, I would be able to show up to a comedy club, run whatever shit that I'm working on in front of a willing and attentive audience, right. And then when I'm done, go to the next one, repeat. But at the end of the day, you have to, like, if you could prove how you're an asset, how you could keep the train moving, how to bring money into the club, like that puts you to a major advantage.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely. Also, I guess it's just me, but sometimes I feel like the barking kind of warms me up.
Okay.
You know?
Hey, I'm just not that good with rejection, especially that repeatedly.
Yeah, I get it. But a lot of times people say thank you.
Yeah.
At least in San Diego.
Not in LA.
In LA, I'm sure they're like.
And I was on Ventura Boulevard in the Valley barking for my show one day. And I tried handing a flyer to a woman, and she looked at me like I killed her family.
Wow. That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, she was...
Wow. I can't... I don't know if I want to move to LA ever.
It is a vicious, vicious market, and it's not just in comedy.
Yeah.
Like, my English teacher... I went to high school in Spanish Harlem, 116th along the FDR, Manhattan Center for Science and Math.
Okay.
The year after I graduated, my teacher, he moved out to Covina, and he was teaching there. And about a year in, I ran into him a couple years ago, and I asked him, why don't you live in LA still? And he told me his story. In New York, people are up front with you. That you know where you stand with them, but like in LA, people will smile to your face and just be shitty. You don't know where you stand with people.
Yeah.
And my teacher told a story about a year and a half into teaching in Covina. He was at a party with a group of teachers, and it was a good time. And one of them, this woman, she had to leave. And she left early, and immediately everybody just started railing on her, just saying awful things. And my teacher finally snapped at them, and was like, if you're saying all this about her when she's not around, what are you saying about me? And everybody kept quiet, and within like 4 months, he was back in New York.
Wow. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a good way to live.
And I look at that, I'm very cognitive of the friendships and relationships, the people I'm around for that reason.
Yeah.
Because there it is a lot of, whether it be scene politics or just the general plastic fakeness of the city of Los Angeles, it is what it is.
Yeah.
All you can do is power through and be the best version of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I personally try to, like, not say something I wouldn't say this.
Yeah.
You know. But I mean, occasionally it's like I would have been nicer about how I said it.
Yeah.
You know, like think more like how to, like, you know.
I tend to be a little bit more upfront, which at times has gotten me some, I don't want to say enemies, but definitely conflict.
Yeah, definitely.
So I do understand the fear of conflict, because despite that, I'm terrified of conflict.
So your goals in comedy right now is like to get up another album, right?
Yeah, my goal right now, I just in October I am running my second hour for the first time, and I'd like to get that. I'd like to run that on the road way more. I'd like to use my new hour as an excuse to, not an excuse, but as an incentive to learn the ins and outs of self-producing on the road, so I don't necessarily have to rely on comedy clubs or bar shows or paying all this money to hear no from a comedy festival. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe the comedy festival is like volunteer at it first or something.
Yeah, something. I don't.
You know, just like there's other.
Have you done festivals yet?
I've submitted to festivals and felt stupid. Like, why did I waste that money?
Yeah. Anywhere from like $40 to $100. It's.
Yeah, it's like.
My one festival experience. I was on a festival in Minneapolis, and I knew going into it this was going to be a gigantic money pit. But I was like, you know what? I need to get out of LA for a while. I was in a place where I just wanted to get out of town. I looked at it as a work vacation in a city I've always wanted to go to.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Have you been to Minneapolis yet?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been.
They got something there called a Juicy Lucy,
Okay.
which is a cheeseburger,
Oh, yeah.
but the cheese is inside the burger,
Yeah.
and it is incredible.
That's
It's
awesome.
kind of like the 7-Eleven Big Bites, but way less preservatives and just more flavorful.
Makes sense.
Matt's Bar in Minneapolis.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Nice. Have to try to go there.
Yeah.
So do you have like a favorite joke? It could be anybody's joke.
I'm trying to think of the funniest. The favorite joke. I don't know. The more recent one, which I hate that this is the one that I'm quoting because I don't know I don't remember the comedian's name, but Louis C.K. was talking about it on Your Mom's House.
Oh, okay.
It was something like, I don't want to butcher this joke too.
That's all
Like,
good.
so
Human memory is flawed, people.
he was talking about this joke on Your Mom's House, and the joke is something along the lines of, so a teacher walks into a sex ed class holding a banana, and he turns to the students and is like, all right, today I'm going to teach you how to put on a condom. And the reason why I brought the banana is because I can't get a hard-on on an empty stomach. I'm not doing that joke any service.
Sure, yeah. But I think people get it.
Louis C.K. told that joke better, and he probably... God, I'm trying to think of another joke that just made me think, like, holy shit, this is good writing, this is truthful. That guy, Dayton, He had a joke like
podcast.
Okay, yeah, when he was like, I know I look like I belong on a milk box.
The seafood.
Yeah. Fish sticks box. Yeah. See, I didn't do that one service.
No, it's all good.
Yeah. I watch so much comedy.
Yeah.
On the open mic level that, like, at times it's almost like in one ear out the other, and I hate that about myself because as much as you love doing comedy, you're at an advantage if you also love consuming it, because see all these... Tim Dillon, I saw Tim Dillon the other day at in the OR at the Comedy Store in West Hollywood. And he had a really great bit about talking about realtors in LA, how they're like, oh, this house on a clear day, you could see the Pacific Ocean. And he's like, when is it a clear day in Los Angeles? And
right. And the ocean is 50 feet away.
Just starts railing. Yeah. Tim Dillon's the guy I envy the most because he started a podcast. He built an absolutely massive following. He's able to sell tickets from it, and he doesn't need to worship whatever outdated notion of what Hollywood is.
Sure. Yeah, he doesn't have to worry about... Or I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Like
he has a social media following from the podcast. So yeah, exactly.
Guys like him, Joe Rogan... I would say to a certain degree, a guy like Tony Hinchcliffe, they are their own bosses.
Yeah, definitely. But that was a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
Working with right people, figuring out.
Right place, right time.
Yeah, exactly.
I like Joe Rogan, like people forget, like before the Joe Rogan experience, he was still a working actor, a working TV host, and he was making a living, but he was not essentially something that rivals major journalistic outlets at this point.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is something I don't like. For all the people who talk shit about Joe Rogan or say that he spreads misinformation, I don't think he anticipated being in that position, and this is still completely new waters for him.
He also is at a point where he doesn't need to care what other people think.
Yeah. Oh, I dream of that point. A guy like Matt Rife, who I think for about 2 years half the internet was talking shit about, he didn't care. God, when he announced his world tour, his net worth, he made $13 million in a matter of minutes. Which is good for him, and he earned that.
Yeah, and I was looking at like that initial controversy, and it's like, well, do you really? In my mind, it's like he did that stuff on purpose.
Yeah,
because he doesn't want the people that like him for not who he is to be coming to his shows.
Yeah,
Anyway,
like Matt Rife is a rare example of a guy who, at least in the category of what's considered TikTok comedians, which I don't look at Matt Rife as definitely that one, but he's definitely been put in that pantheon. Matt Rife is one of the rare examples where I feel like the product on TikTok is why he's on this earth right now. He does incredible crowd work that he can make anything funny like that. And like I don't know, like I sometimes worry that like I love doing I love doing my podcast, but I also, if there wasn't an end goal for it, I probably wouldn't do it.
Sure. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Like I still try to make sure that I don't look at my podcast. I look at my podcast more as a labor of love than a chore.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like this podcast feed has been going on since like 2017, but back before I knew it was going to be a comic, it had different formats. It's gone through name changes, and there was actually before Spotify bought them, it was Anchor.fm.
I remember. I vaguely remember Anchor.fm.
And it was so fun. But in some ways, it's good that went away because all my creative energy was going into that. It was a social community, audio community, where you would listen to people's stuff, and then they would ask you like the community a question, or you would just call in. You easily leave a message, and then the host could like easily incorporate it into the podcast. Yeah. You know, and they would listen, and then they would say, "Oh yeah, I heard today's episode over yours," and you know, like it was like more interactive.
Back in a time when people weren't like essentially subject to a fire hose of podcasts.
Yeah, I mean, podcasts were definitely getting. You could see it coming to where because of platforms like Anchor, they were just making it super easy.
Yeah.
Anchor was, or even Spotify now, it's free to put it up. You know, there's no hosting. It's really.
Yeah.
I mean, I would definitely recommend it. Right now, even though Spotify bought it, it's like so easy to do, and it puts it on 7 different platforms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I do. I do it through Libsyn.
Okay.
And like, I had a guy. Do you know Evan Warner? I feel like he's worked Madhouse a couple times.
Sounds a little familiar.
Okay. I had Evan Warner on my podcast recently, and he made a really good point about how the barrier of entry to be a creative is just getting lower and lower. And have you seen my podcast clips at all on Instagram? It's okay if you haven't.
No.
Okay.
I haven't.
He was talking about to make the same product that I make, but back in the 1960s, it probably would have required a crew of 100 people. Wow. And I'm able to do it myself. I have a switch there, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with what a switch is. Camera 1, camera 2, camera 3.
Kind of like a soundboard.
Yeah, but for cameras.
Sure.
And like I'm able to live edit during like an interview as I'm conducting it.
Oh my goodness! And I feel like so outdated.
Nah, that's I started with an iPhone and it got the job done for a while. Sure. But it was just like I was doing this. Learning Adobe Premiere that's panning out to be like a very useful skill that who knows I could turn that into a side hustle.
Oh yeah, for sure. How much a year are you paying?
God, I want to say it's like $100 a year for the Adobe Creative Suite.
That's not that bad.
Yeah,
I'm already paying like $80 for CapCut.
Yeah.
Might as well just.
But but to do this now, I'm curious. A guy like Mark Maron, which I have not listened to like the first 100, 200 episodes of WTF, but like, yeah, podcasting, I was completely uncharted waters.
Yeah.
And now I think Hollywood is like slowly catching on, and a lot of broadcast networks like ESPN, they all have podcasts. The It's Always Sunny people, they have a commentary podcast for their show, which they have a podcast for their show that probably gets more listeners than It's Always Sunny nowadays gets viewers.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, because it's just like right now we're in a very like a saturation point with the amount of content that is out there. And I am curious if there's just going to be a point where pretty much TV, movies, like the idea of becoming a working creative just becomes that much harder just because of the amount of shit that's out there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, but let's see, there's like even like the video game movies and you know video games or movies and TV shows that are based on video games are getting better.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is like
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Definitely some like podcasts that are based off the shows. They're even like the official one, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, the It's Always Sunny one is very fascinating because like Charlie Day, Rob McElhenney, and Glenn Howerton. Charlie Day, the It's Always Sunny people, they are incredibly humble. They are very, very smart, and they're able to approach like. They're like there are points in the episodes where like, yeah, this thing I kind of regretted doing it because it just didn't age well.
Yeah, definitely. That's interesting. So I have a list of questions, and now it's going to seem like we're going in a different direction. But what's your favorite place to do comedy?
Favorite place to do comedy? Wow. Favorite city. Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Oh, nice.
I swear to God, like I did the mic scene. There's lots of a good number of mics. A lot of them, there's a lot of audience, and I got to do Comedy Corner Underground on a Friday night, and there was 70 people packed into that basement, like. Didn't care it was an open mic. They were just excited for live entertainment.
Wow.
And I also, the one thing they also, the next day somebody told me like, yo, you could email them for your tape. And I emailed them for the tape. I got my tape within 2 hours.
Wow.
Which,
that's awesome.
Which was very, very generous. Cause yeah, this was,
fast turnaround time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, in LA, they'd be like, yeah, fuck you. Venmo me $100 for your work.
Yeah, that's crazy.
As far as San Diego is a good runner up, like American Comedy Company. I totally forgot that on a Tuesday I could drive down to San Diego. I could call in for a spot, a spot on Potluck at the La Jolla Comedy Store.
Yeah.
Didn't get picked, not the end of the world, but yeah, that's show business. Go to American Comedy Company where last night it was 160 people, about 50 of them were comics, but still something.
Yeah, but
Trailer
also,
Park After Dark,
yeah.
There was audience there.
Yeah, it's a small room, but it's intimate.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But even like I find when in San Diego, going to LA, I got up at Hollywood Improv with a bunch of comics.
Yeah.
You were in the audience.
Yep.
You weren't paying attention. It doesn't matter. My throat was bad, like allergies and stuff, but I still did good. And it was like, and I said at the end, it's like, yeah. Saying usually comics don't laugh at this because they've heard it a long time.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing for you, right?
I do wonder that if I developed in another market, if I was as good as I am now and visited LA, like it was just completely uncharted waters for me, would I be better off? Because as a comedian, it is easy to kind of neglect the fact that everything we do, it's a process. We're just constantly trying to find ways to get better and funnier and stronger and more in the moment to think funny.
Yeah.
Versus like when you're doing that all in one market. I don't know. My friend Michael Virgilio, he gave me a piece of advice once that I never really followed through on, but I always recognize that he's 100% right. Never work one market. Which, you being down here, LA is 2 hours away without traffic.
Yeah, sometimes we go to Orange County.
Orange County, yep. It's
other times there's been times where we went to Orange County and then kept driving to LA.
Yeah.
And then hit two different markets.
Yeah. Do you know Gary Cannon?
No.
He's an MC. He regularly works the Laugh Factory down here. Like he's like a club MC. He's a warm-up comic. One time I had a show in Tempe, Arizona. Happened to be the same night that Gary was working the Tempe Improv, and I gave him a ride back to his hotel, and he gave me a piece of advice like, do Orange County more. You'll have audiences, and it will make you a better comic.
Yeah, absolutely.
I go down to Orange County once every 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah, which is not enough.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah,
definitely trying to go out to other places more.
Yeah.
Because even though, the mics were, I have to pay $5 and it's all comics.
Yeah.
They haven't seen me, or one or two have seen me.
They don't have, there's no give someone money to get on stage shit in San Diego.
One sushi place tried it.
Okay.
And
they were like, no.
And nobody went.
Yeah.
Oh, people went, and then we're like, $5? What?
I don't know. I don't know the truth to this story, and also Austin has changed so much since I first heard the story. But I heard somebody who regularly hung out at Fourth Wall tried opening like a $5 for 5 minutes slotted in Austin, and that guy almost got ran out of town.
Wow.
Because
I want this here.
Yeah, because like LA, like, fact of the matter is, whether you agree with slotted or not, it's a byproduct of the fact that on any given night prior to Fourth Wall opening, you were able to get up maybe once a night, despite going to 3 mics. Like, you'll go to a mic at a bar where it's either a rigged bucket or there's just way too many people. Which the asset of Fourth Wall is you're in, you're out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like the Fourth Wall. I haven't gotten back there.
Yeah, Joe Menendez, sweetheart.
Yeah.
Have you met him yet?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't gotten up to Fourth Wall as much as I wanted to recently. The times we've gone to LA, it just hasn't worked out.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's see. So what was your family life growing up?
My family life, I'm a product of an upper middle class Jewish upbringing on the Upper West Side of Manhattan.
Okay, cool.
And I went to high school in Harlem. My upbringing, like, I played lots of video games, lots of Mario, lots of Pokemon.
That's cool.
I was, by the time I was 14, I was singing and playing in punk bands. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Sweet. So what is your earliest memory?
My earliest... I don't know if it's my earliest memory or if it's just that I think it's my earliest memory, but when I was... probably like a year old, I remember fireworks behind my grandmother's house in the Rockaways.
Oh, cool.
And this would be like July of '87 or '88, but that's too young to form memories. So it had to have been later.
That's so cool. I'm so old.
Gotcha.
87, I was a teenager.
God.
So have you ever won a comedy contest or anything like that?
I have not. Then again, I have not done a lot of comedy contests.
Sure.
I guess in theory you could consider Set of the Night at the Comedy Store comedy contest, but I did not win it yet.
Okay.
Yeah, last time I had a good enough set, whereas winning wouldn't have been so much of a far-fetched thought.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But alas, Shane Bianchi, that son of a bitch, he won. You know Shane? I feel like I'm doing too much name dropping, but yeah.
No, he's not just asking me, he's asking the audience. So somebody out there knows Shane.
Shane Bianchi, he has a 20-minute set on YouTube now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
really
awesome.
good.
Sweet. So What's your best booking story so far? Either you booking somebody or the
best
other way around.
God. Shit. Right now I host a mic at Ireland's 32, and we're doing that for the rest of the summer. But normally it's a weekly bar show, and there have been times where we'll book a headliner, pay him a couple bucks to do 20 minutes. And, I'm not going to pretend that every night at our show was like the hottest show in LA. There are some nights that are more duds than others. Sure. But to watch guys that are like 20 to 30 year veterans, like, murder in front of like 8 to 12 people, like, it's like, oh, this is why they work. Yeah. They don't get on that stage and they're not like, oh, there should be more people. Right. Which I know some part of their brain says that, but while they're on stage, it's their job to entertain.
Yeah, definitely. That's cool.
Like, there's been a couple comics that we've had that it's been like that was the case, and it was like a major. It treaded being a master class for me to watch, like Darren Carter. You know him, Darren Carter, the party starter. No. Yeah, Chris Riggins. I wouldn't expect you to.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know anybody. Yeah. I'll start naming people. Do you know? No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, there's a reason. Like, it's like shit like that. It's like, oh, that's why they work.
Right. Well, I do know. Not that I'm saying that I'm at that level, but I have noticed myself where, like, someone's like, "Well, how did you do good in that room?" It's like, well, I treated it like it was a show, and I sold my jokes.
At the end of the day, we are salesmen selling our ideas.
Yeah, it's like I mean, yes, deadpan is
it's a genre.
It's a genre. If you do that, do it well. But I try to they're really twisted. I'm trying to do different voices and hand gestures.
I don't know how a guy. Granted, it was a completely different time, so people were just in awe to be in front of comedians at all. But a guy like Stephen Wright, I don't know how you could work on something with anything close to that kind of deadpan voice today, particularly in a market like LA where
your jokes better be really funny.
Yeah. Like Mitch Hedberg is another one. What was he like when he was doing mics in Seattle? Yeah. It's just I don't know how one-liners are able to develop in the current model that we have.
Yeah, definitely. The one-liners, I was getting in my head about what's the best joke order, and how do I remember all these ones? That are all over the place. So then trying to let's make them longer. Or let's have a theme.
Going back to what you're asking about, how do you determine your order? As far as the final product, I do think a lot about, okay, what would a special or an album look like for me? But I do when I'm doing shorter sets, which to be honest, if it were my choice, I would never do a 3-minute set again. But first joke, get them on board immediately.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you have a favorite fan interaction? Either you were a fan of somebody, or a fan, or somebody that saw your comedy and was like, "Oh, you did really good," or something.
There's been a couple times leading up to the album recording when. Creatively, I felt like the shit because it was all right, I'm doing this. And I remember doing a mic that had a couple of people, just audience members watching. And there was a guy who was loved my set. He was telling me one day you're going to be on Netflix. And I was like, all right, settle down. And he ended up buying beer koozies for me.
Oh.
Yeah. So I made gas money at an open mic.
Oh, that's awesome. So you have merch?
Yeah. Koozies. Yeah, I'm bringing the t-shirts Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But it's just like other fan interactions that I've had. There was, God, my first potluck back since the lockdowns, when it was just like, so this was 2022 maybe? Okay. I want to say it was May of 2022. I remember getting on stage, and it was right when people were excited to go out again. Yeah. So I was number 7 on the list, which normally the place is probably half empty or half full, whatever way you want to look at it. Sure. Pessimist, optimist. But it was that night, because it was the 4th potluck back. It was a sold out room, which for the open mic portion of potluck, that's not always the case. Sure. It's particularly that early into the night. And I remember getting on stage, and I let out a look, like I saw the magnitude of people here, and I was just like, this is what I've been chasing. And I had one of the best sets I've ever had. Nice. That was the night that I remember hearing Frank Castillo in back laughing. Like, it was like, all right, he knows I don't suck now. But the booker of the club wasn't there, but her assistant was. She was on board. Nice. But I remember, afterwards, there were, real audience there, on the patio telling me that they loved what I did. They loved the soup bit. That one's from Sorry Again. Sweet. Jasmine made soup. All right.
You gotta watch the special.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like little stuff like that keeps you going. Oh yeah. Because it's just like if all open mics, like San Diego, I don't get this vibe at all. But in LA, just after a while, it's just like the magic of comedy just sort of dissipates, and it's very easy to just not feel like there's any appreciation for what you do, or any appreciation coming from you for what others do. Yeah. And that's a bad trap to be in.
Yeah. Definitely there's mics where there's only comics come, but the nice thing is it depends on what time. I can't really put a cadence on it, but there's new comics that bring their friends.
Okay.
That are regular people.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes it, even though
you have something to work with.
Yeah, even though this mic is usually just comics, now we have some audience members.
I don't like feeling like I'm reciting ideas or pitching ideas to a room that I know they're not going to be receptive regardless, even if it's the most genius thought or whatever it is.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's a lot of rooms in LA.
Yeah, definitely. I remember one time for a while, was just performing in front of comics. Yeah. And then I went and did American Comedy Company, and I tried the same joke, and it
hit.
No, this time it was too dark, and the comedy
too dark for the American Comedy Company.
Whoa! And I was like, oh, okay. And I thought back, because I'm trying to make comics laugh. I'm trying to surprise them. And and then
because that's another thing. When you're working material in front of comics, you've been in front of people who've seen it all, who they have a much clearer idea of what hack is. Which for me, I find myself judging myself too much on, okay, is this idea some version of something that's already been done before? And if it is, how can I approach it through a perspective that's authentic to me? Because there's only so much. At the end of the day, I feel like every version of something has been done already. But at the same time, like story, that's something that there's like the supply for great story, like it's less finite.
Yeah, definitely, because you have your own perspective.
Yeah. At the end of the day, there's just one you.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Yeah.
The twins have different experiences.
Yeah.
I think the answer is no, but I'm just going to ask you this. Have you ever been on Kill Tony or anything?
I have been on Kill Tony 4 times.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of somebody else.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. Twice in the belly room, twice in the main room of the Comedy Store.
Oh, yeah.
And first time, I was so new. They were so nice to me. Second time, I ate shit.
Oh, man.
I bombed in front of Wee Man from Jackass.
Wow.
That hurt.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Wee Man from Jackass. And I don't remember who the panels were for any of the other times.
Yeah.
But it was definitely... the last time I got on Kill Tony was definitely the best. But that was still 6 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I am curious, if I got on Kill Tony today, would I be a contender for a golden ticket?
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, Jack Shaw, he just won a golden ticket. I couldn't be happier for him.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, he's a very funny comic.
Nice.
Have you done Kill Tony yet?
Yeah, I got up just once, right before lockdown.
Okay. So this is the main room.
I was trying to go. I was going to LA and trying to get, at the time when they were in LA.
Yeah.
You could sign up for Potluck and Kill Tony. I never got up there. They came to, every once in a while they would travel. Came to Comedy Store La Jolla, did 2 shows. I got on the first one.
Okay.
But literally the next week I don't think they even got to do another one back. I don't know. I fall in and out of Kill Tony, so I don't remember exactly the timing, but shortly after we were in lockdown.
Yeah, it was a very those were wild time.
Yeah.
Sandy, I was telling my parents this yesterday, that I would drive down to San Diego because American Comedy Company was, for a brief period, the only comedy club on the West Coast that was offering stage time to No Name X.
Yeah.
And God bless him for it. Yeah, that's how I got to know Nate Donovan.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I wish I would be able to do that more. I got to do a few parking lot mics.
Okay.
And then I had to work the kitchen here at the Madhouse.
Yeah.
And then by the time Tuesday came, I was Monday, Tuesdays was my day off.
Yeah.
And I was living in Oceanside at the time.
Jim Pine. Yeah. He used to host the parking lot mics at the Fry's Electronics by Burbank Airport. And I never got to do his mics down here, but a lot of fun stories from Fry's Electronics from when that was the first time comics are able to kind of see each other again. It was
that's interesting. To know it. So there wasn't other LA comics that decided to do parking lot mics?
There was the Fry's Electronics. I'm trying to remember because there wasn't a lot.
Okay.
A couple of people were doing mics in apartments, and those were not fun or useful. Then again, there wasn't a lot of useful stage time.
Right.
A lot of couple backyards. Those were a lot of fun.
Oh, nice.
And my favorite byproduct of comedy during the pandemic was that there was a turf war for park amphitheaters. If you were doing comedy or acting at all, there were people would literally get into shouting matches over who gets to use the park amphitheaters, which was God, that was that was just a product of the time because it wasn't like
How
anybody.
did they decide? Whoever backed down.
Yeah, whoever backed down.
Wow, that's crazy.
I remember Carol Newell. She briefly got into an argument with a group of kids doing like a Shakespeare play in the Fry's Electronic parking lot, and we were just like, "Yeah, let's let them have it and go to the other side of the lot."
Wow.
Yeah, and to this day, the Fry's Electronics is closed, and they gated that parking lot up.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I'm just trying to think of other like. Because I was also going on very long drives. Like, I mean, the incredible thing about comedy is, like, in that time is that it was one of the few times that B and C listers were kind of like who their livelihood is doing headlining weekends. Like, I remember I would drive out to a cemetery in Ventura.
Right.
And it would be like, oh, like, yeah, these are people who, they've lost their paycheck.
Right.
I don't even know if they technically qualify for unemployment because, we as comedians, we're technically independent contractors.
Sure. Yeah. So they were doing shows?
They were just doing mics. They were just having fun.
Wow.
Just trying to forget that, like, for the time being, that their lives were totaled.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. Speaking of which, what is the worst thing about comedy right now?
What is the worst thing about comedy right now? I think a lot about this. Do you ever... I think social media is a very, very good tool. It is a very important tool, for better or worse. It's going to be around for a very long time. But I do wonder how, like, if social media ceased to exist tomorrow, how many comics would just disappear just because they don't get that dopamine hit or that validation.
Yeah.
Because I got... as far as something like TikTok goes, there are people who do comedy because they're under the impression that it's just going to take the algorithm, like the new gatekeeper is the algorithm. Which, granted, there's some truth to that. I know some people, some of my contemporaries are now headlining theaters, largely because of they got the TikTok boost. But I don't know. Like, I don't know if we as an industry would be better off if we had traditional gatekeepers, like club owners who acted as tastemakers for what their audience and the viewing public might be into.
Sure, but if you're really, at least, not saying that I could predict the future of technology, but if you look at some of the trends that we're going towards, or take the research and apply it. There's a possibility that there won't be an algorithm.
That is
because if you have direct connection to all the information possible, right? It's going to be more like you think about Joe Smith. And then it takes you to, Joe Smith posted this. You know what I mean? To the cloud or whatever.
Every 6 months to a year, I feel like there's talks about the idea of banning TikTok for whatever reason, national security reason, privacy reason, whatever it is. The people I know who have started to do well because of TikTok, they would still be in it, but they also realize that, I have to expand my... don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, definitely.
But I do, like, the big problem with social media, and to a certain degree, I think Joe Rogan's a little bit at fault for this too. Both are responsible for a giant wave of people who aren't necessarily funny by nature, who are clogging all of the club mics. The bookers at the Improv or the Comedy Store, they can't do you any favors. They can't make you famous.
Right.
Like they could give you stage time, don't get me wrong, but that's not the only place where stage time is.
Yeah.
It's silly to me that that there are hundreds of mics in LA during the week. A lot of them are close to empty, but people who are doing comedy what feels like for their first time, they're putting their name in the bucket at the Improv, and I think the frustrating part is waiting around to get pulled because the chances of getting up are so low.
I know, yeah, like that was crazy. Hollywood Improv,
Yeah.
the 3 people I came with, are all, we all got up. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow, that's never gonna happen again.
I got up at lab work recently, and before that I haven't been up since early May.
Wow.
Which is not that long, but there are I know people who've gone to the Tuesday mic for 6 to 8 months who've never gotten pulled.
Yeah, that was only my 3rd time there. The first time I did.
Yeah.
First 2 times I didn't get up.
And then if you eat shit, it's like, well, they can't do you any favors. What's the incentive?
Yeah, definitely. That's cool. All right. I could talk to you for a long time, but I do have a show.
For sure.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Nah, is there anything was there any?
Okay. So definitely you plug some things, but how do people find you directly?
You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, X, and Threads at Ian Ira Rousso. That's IANIRAROUSSO. Website with dates, www.ianirarousso.com. Debut comedy album titled Sorry Again, available on iTunes, Apple Music, Tidal, Napster is apparently a streaming service now. And crazy shit. And what was the other thing? Oh yeah, the Ian Ira Rousso Show, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and I'm sure other platforms.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All
right, dude. Thanks so much, man.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Say bye, everybody.
Bye.